I'm Baker Machado alongside our editor-in-chief, Dan Roberts, and we're really excited to be joined by Fox broadcaster and NFL legend Greg Olsen joining us. Greg, good to have you here, man.
What's happening?
So, obviously, big game this weekend. What's your thoughts on the game? And even somebody like Travis Kelce, is he the best tight end ever?
Well, loaded question right off the jump. So,
yeah, I like that. On your toes,
I think first thing, just the overall nature of the game. I think obviously super cool. Same two quarterbacks. We got to call that game 2 years ago on Fox, on the same network, which is pretty unique. And I think when you just look at what the evolution of these two teams from where they were just even 2 years ago to where they are now, a lot of the same players, obviously some sprinkled in new ones, but the foundation of their style of play and their philosophy and their approach is very similar. It's all rooted in a very similar approach. It just has a little different flavor now, right? So you look at Philadelphia, it's a new defensive coordinator. It's a second new coordinator from last year, right? It's a second new offensive coordinator from 2 years ago. So there's new guys pulling the strings, but the foundation of what they want to be is still pretty consistent. And then obviously, what can you say about Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelce? And we'll get to Kelce being the best tight end of all time. But, it's just –
Gronk.
listen, you can make an argument for – I never thought in a million years we would ever be having a conversation that there'd be another tight end to approach Tony Gonzalez. The longevity, the production, and it goes without saying. Then Gronk came along, and now Kelce came along. And I think when it's all said and done, and I've thought this now for the last couple of years, but it's all said and done, I think Kelce might go down as number one, right? You talk about longevity, production, regular season, postseason, the success that he's had is pretty unique. And I'm not sure it's going to be a hard argument against him being the best when he's all said and done.
You've got a good way of making this game sound very exciting.
Yes.
I want to ask you, a lot of fans just a little bit tired of the Chiefs. Chiefs. It's exciting that they might do the three-peat. What do you say to fans who are like, oh, another dynasty on our hands? I say this as a Patriots fan, so I know people were very annoyed by that long.
Yeah. Listen, I think that's human nature. I think people have a really hard time appreciating sustained greatness, and it's very easy to want to knock the person at the top, knock them off their podium. I think that's kind of the nature of our society and our world, which we probably don't have time to dive into right now. But I think right now, the way I view it as just a football fan, I appreciate greatness. I appreciate great players that do it the right way, that can have prolonged success. The hardest thing about sports in general, especially the NFL, is success is probably the greatest preventer of future success. It's everything the NFL is set up to avoid. The Patriots that you mentioned, now the Chiefs, like they're doing it in spite of everything the league has put in place to prevent this very thing from happening. And as just a football fan, I appreciate it. I respect it. I have a ton of respect for every one of those guys involved because what they're doing is almost unprecedented. We'll find out on Sunday. They're a win away from it being unprecedented, and I think they deserve, whether you're a Chiefs fan or not, I think you have to respect and appreciate just how good they've been for so long at the level in which they've done it.
Greg, obviously a lot of chatter about an 18th NFL game. Roger Goodell obviously has to talk to the union, but we're now hearing from the Players Association, one executive calling it cringeworthy, the idea of this. We know when the 17th game was added, it just barely passed. But some players are telling us it's inevitable that we're going to get this 18th game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
Do you agree?
I agree. I think it's inevitable. My understanding is it would be 18 with a 2-week bye. So it'd be 2 preseason, 18 regular season, and then 2 byes, which I think a lot of players start the season a little earlier. I think a lot of the players would appreciate that second bye. I think when they went from 16 games to 17 and just left it with 1 bye, that was a challenge. I think you saw the end of the season. There's a lot of teams just limping into the finish and just kind of holding on for dear life. So I think that second bye, to add an extra game, to go from 17 to 18, but go from 1 to 2 byes, I think is pretty significant. So I think it's a matter of time. And then listen, we all know the reality of this world. You're going to turn down the money.
No,
When that cap continues to go up and they sell that TV package or however they reshuffle the deck, those games are going to be paid. They're going to pay big money. Someone's going to pay big money for those games, and that money is going to be split between the owners, and it's going to be split with the players' union, with however they negotiate the new contract. So it's going to happen. I think it's just a matter of the timing.
You asked about, or you mentioned the broadcast deals, and we had Brian Rolapp here yesterday, the NFL media executive, talking about the possible opt-outs and giving more games to streamers. Of course, big thing that comes into this is the talent. It's you guys, it's the broadcasters. Got to ask about Brady and how he's doing. I'm not even going to ask about Brady taking the top Fox job. You've been asked about that enough. But what about Brady owning a piece of the Raiders and whether there's a conflict there? You got a lot of people who kind of shrug it off. It seems to me like having someone call games, including Raiders games, who owns a piece of a team, that there is an issue there.
Yeah, and I understand it. And listen, my role as a broadcaster is not to make rules or interpret what Tom should or shouldn't be allowed to do. That is so above my pay grade. You know, my approach to the entire situation, and I thought I've been clear on my message. I think a lot of it's probably been a little manipulated and misconstrued. There's two separate conversations at play. One is individually for me, my goals from day one. When I first retired and I got into this knowing it was going to be with Fox, who's been more than great to me and has given me great opportunities, and we can go on and on about that. But my desire individually to call great games, I've called a Super Bowl once, I want to call them again. That should not be earth-shattering headline news for anyone
who doesn't
highly motivated in whatever their world is. So my aspirations of taking this from day one back in 2021 when I started to today have not changed. I want to call great games. I love learning the game. I love engaging with the fan, presenting it to the viewer. I love that nature. My personal aspirations are completely independent and disconnected from my relationship with Fox. My relationship with Fox and Tom and Aaron and KB and all, those are my friends. Like, those are people that I care about. I want to see them succeed. My relationship with Fox is positive. They know where I stand. They've encouraged me to have high aspirations. They've encouraged me to try to be as good as I possibly can. So I think some of my comments about wanting to call top games, wherever that is, and however that plays out, come across that I want to leave Fox and I hate Fox. That is not true. So I'm like on the record right now, and I probably need to do a better job communicating where I stand and where I want to go. Has no resentment or animosity towards the people at Fox, both executive level, and obviously the talent at Fox are a lot of my friends. They're a lot of my close colleagues, and I hope they have a great game on Sunday. I wish none of them any ill will. It's two completely separate topics in my mind.
Yeah, but you did also call the Netflix game this year, and we know the NFL is liking these partnerships, especially with these streamers, and the Christmas Day games were brand new. Are you enjoying the idea that the NFL is diversifying and going into different areas like these streamers like Netflix?
Yeah, it feels inevitable. Exactly how it all plays out and how the networks and all of the streamers, I'm not privy to a lot of those high level conversations. My personal experience on Christmas Day, calling that game on Netflix was really good. I wish the game would have been better. It was a blowout from the jump, but it was a nice test run. It was a great experience. That my crew, our producers, directors, Noah Eagle and Jamie and the whole crew, Steve, was a great crew to work with. We had never met each other before until the day before the game when we all flew into Houston to get ready. So that was kind of an interesting challenge of just working with people you didn't really have any relationship with at any personal level. Same thing with our producer and our director. So it was kind of cool to see a bunch of different networks share their talent, come together to produce a game on, obviously on Christmas Day. So that was a great experience and a lot of fun. Where it goes, who gets what package, who knows? But right now, calling games at Fox, has been a blast. I've had a lot of great opportunities, and we'll see what the future holds.
Let's end on this, Greg. You're here on behalf of DraftKings. Look around Radio Row. DraftKings is everywhere. Hard to avoid the betting stuff. It's been really interesting. I mean, every partnership, show, podcast is sponsored by one of these companies. What are the pluses and minuses here? Because, the leagues also need to be careful, I think, with avoiding any player issues.
Yeah, and I think DraftKings is pretty clear, and obviously the my approach and why we've worked together for a year or so, and I think we're pretty connected. Like, I view it as just like an entertainment value, right? When you tune into the game, if you're not a diehard fan of whether it's the Super Bowl or just throughout the course of the week, of course, if you're a diehard fan of those teams, you're living and dying with every play, every point, every field goal, every decision, and it's a fun and fascinating form of entertainment. But there's also the people that are tuning in a little bit more of a casual way. They're not living and dying with the outcome. They're not living and dying with who scores first. And that's where I think some of the betting and some of the game, having some of the action in the game from an entertainment value done responsibly, could just add a lot of fun. So no more so than in the Super Bowl. You got anything from the coin toss to the who scores the first
you're
game.
bringing in casual fans.
Yeah, it's a fun way to have. And whether it's $1, $5, whatever, it's not even so much about the dollar amount as much as just you have something to pull for, something to root for, something to pull. And I think from an entertainment value, that's the approach people take. And maybe not everyone, but should take. And That's the way I view it.
Yeah, Greg, we always appreciate your perspective. You're number one on the booth for us at Front Office Sports. We love you.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much.